I found myself quite annoyed this morning. There was a gentleman at the weight station in front of me who obviously knew what he was doing. His form was as ideal as any I'd seen. His control was something that even this seasoned lifter aspires to possess. Yet upon completion of every set, he would slam down the weights with a jarring thud. Then he'd give his wannabe casual scan of the gym to see how much attention he'd mustered. Then his eyes would lock on his reflection in the mirror as those of the love interest of a romantic drama. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a bit in that last one, but not by much. What's the point? Why was my focus and that of so many around me being interrupted by this muscle-bound man-child's pursuit of attention? Obviously, he was not so overcome by hypertrophy that he could not guide the weights back to the rack with the same control he'd possessed throughout his lifts. My answer? Pride or insecurity. It's astounding how often these two contrary characteristics masquerade as one another. One thing I've learned from experience is that submission to either is a fast track to nowhere. Garnering the attention of man is foolish. I know this of which I speak. For at this very moment, I still feel the pain in the wake of being a deadlift competitor for the praise of men. What did it get me? Blown knees, a bad back, the need for shoulder replacement, and tendinitis in both elbows. Though this morning's subject irritated me, I must confess that the present me would likely feel the same were I to witness myself back in my early 20s. Only in hindsight do we see how foolish we looked and how little our bravado accomplished. I've indeed dealt with my share of both insecurity and pride and seen the effects that they bring about by clouded judgment. It all comes from seeking to please the wrong master. There is only one we ought to be mindful to please, and that is Abba. What a blessing that he'll never snicker at our shortcomings. What a blessing that he'll champion every endeavor we undertake of his will. Paul, formerly Saul, came to just such a realization on the Damascus road. He would go on to rightfully say, "Yet indeed I count all things that I once counted gain as loss for the excellence of the knowledge of Christ Jesus my Lord, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and count them as rubbish that I may gain Christ." For he knew that the accolades of his former pursuits that brought about the praise of men were not going to impress the Almighty. It mattered not that he was considered a Hebrew of Hebrews from the prime stock of Israel. It mattered not that he was reverenced by man as a Pharisee, or that he'd once committed his life to their legalistic ideals. He would add, "For if I still pleased men, I would not be a bondservant of Christ." We don't have to gain prestige or acclaim in the eyes of man. We don't have to pursue greatness to be attributed to our name. And we don't have to slam our weights like an attention-seeking toddler. We simply need to submit and obey, all of which are enabled by God. Perhaps our bravado will warrant the momentary attention of our contemporaries, but our commitment to King and Redeemer will yield us purpose, peace, and an abundance in both the here and hereafter.